The digital detox. This is something that I don't think a lot of people do. And certainly when clients come to Elevate, when they're in detox, they're not allowed their phones.
It's a lot more than just socializing. There's, this addiction, there's this pursuit, like you're looking for something that you don't really know what it is. Our brains weren't designed for 24/7, dopamine hits that like we get from social media. These digital platforms, they can really trigger the same reward pathway as cocaine and opiates. Constantly having this digital stimulation can actually prevent the individual from their prefrontal cortex from healing. A study by Common Sense Media, found that teens who spent more than 3 hours a day on social media have 60% higher risk of reporting poor mental health.
My son and I were driving and Willie Nelson came on and I was laughing. I'm like, you don't even know who this guy is. He's like, yeah, I do. Within hours, all of a sudden I was being delivered ads on Instagram for Willie Nelson's new THC liquid drink. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. Take a break from it, put it away for an hour, see how you feel. Go a weekend without it and see if you start to feel less depressed, less fearful, less anxious, and be positive over it yourself. You don't need to come to a rehab to take it away in order to do this. You can do this on your own. All right, well, welcome back to the show, Tommy. It's the last day of 2025.
I know. Wow. Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's Eve and New
New Year's Eve.
Year.
Yeah.
I'm actually very excited for the new year. So, and I'm really excited about the topics we have to talk about today.
Me too. Yeah. Let's jump in.
Yeah, let's jump in. The very first one, the digital detox. This is something that I don't think a lot of people do. And certainly when clients come to Elevate, when they're in detox, they're not allowed their phones because, if given access, they're going to call their dealers, they're going to call an Uber, they're going to make some choices that aren't for the greatest good. And so we sort of act as a mediary between the client and the families. And we've also seen a lot on the front end that as much as they're coming off of the drugs or the alcohol or the other things, there is that addiction to their phones and social media that they're also contending with.
Yeah. It's definitely a concern as time goes on with, social media and, how just addictive they're trying to make it. I mean, that's kind of always been the goal since day one is to, get you to interact with these platforms and scroll and buy things, obviously kind of under the umbrella of socializing. But it often, I think anyone who's scrolled on social media for a little while can often see that it's a lot more than just socializing. There's this addiction, there's this pursuit, like you're looking for something that you don't really know what it is, but you're on this pursuit of trying to find something. And for people in recovery, it could really blow your dopamine system, essentially, right? Where you're just using way too much dopamine. And
Yeah, oh,
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, I was just going to tell you an interesting story because besides the dopamine, there's also this weird mechanism in place. So, for example, my son and I were driving and I was forcing him to listen to country music. No, Christmas country music. So I thought if I at least made it country, he'd be more into it because he likes country. And Willie Nelson came on and I was laughing. I'm like, you don't even know who this guy is. He's like, yeah, I do. He went to Baylor and he got kicked out for weed. And I'm like, no shit, because my son went to Baylor.
Mhm.
And so it was just kind of a funny anecdote. And I'm like, well, he ended up doing pretty good for himself. I kid you not, within hours, all of a sudden I was being delivered ads on Instagram for Willie Nelson's new THC liquid drink. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. And so, besides the dopamine, it's trying to give you what it is you're putting out there. So if you're not putting good stuff out there, you're being delivered stuff that's going to send you down a bad path. And especially for people in recovery, where maybe they are talking about drugs and alcohol, and although they're trying to get away from it, now it's like they're being inundated with it.
Yeah, it's always trying to get our attention, get you to find this thing you're not even really looking for, like I said, and it's very addictive. And like in Detox at Elevate, we do take away the phone, right? And it's part of a detox essentially. So you're detoxing from drugs and alcohol, and you're also detoxing from social media. And like you said, yeah, it's a lot of the times it's more about removing the temptation,
Mhm.
from someone to pick up the phone and call their dealer, or start looking for scheming for ways to get out of treatment, because going through detox is really, really tough, and anyone will look for an excuse to change the path that they're on, because it can be uncomfortable. But yeah, it's really cool that we're talking about this, because yeah, it's like the digital drugs, right?
It is. And it goes hand in hand with, what happens with society, which is that instant gratification. So if you have somebody who's trying to get off drugs and alcohol, then all of a sudden they're on their phones and they're being served stuff like quick fixes to whatever uncomfortableness they're going to, especially if they're going through overcoming addiction or different things. It doesn't give them the space and time to be able to overcome it before they're already being inundated with it. And
Yeah.
this is why, like with Elevate, it's really good because we teach them mindfulness. You shut everything off, you sit with it, you breathe with it, so that when those temptations come along, when they're given their phones back, when they're back in a position of strength, they're not going to be sidetracked with all these temptations that are trying to pull them back out of their sobriety.
Yeah, I mean, our brains weren't designed for 24/7, dopamine hits that like we get from social media, from gaming, just they call it doom scrolling. And
Mm.
yeah, someone in recovery, these digital platforms, they can really trigger the same reward pathway as cocaine and opiates. And so, yeah, constantly having this digital stimulation can actually prevent the individual from their prefrontal cortex from healing. And so, so yeah, pulling the social media away and having a break can greatly help us kind of our prefrontal cortex heal, and make us less impulsive, really start to feel more grounded, and become even less prone to relapse, because once you get engaged in this like this really high releasing dopamine behavior, it really feeds into that addictive side of our minds, and it can be difficult to just maintain sobriety in general. So it's just as a overall topic for people that are struggling with addiction, yeah, definitely taking a look at social media and how it may have its grip on you. So it's a cool subject, and a lot of spiritual um, people are really getting into doing these longer social media detoxes, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to add to that. It's not even specifically towards anyone with addiction, struggling with addiction, overcoming addiction in sobriety. It's really for anyone. And I've gone to a few of these, like women's retreats, spiritual retreats. And the first thing we do is put away our phones. And I don't look at it for like 1 or 2 days. And I go through that same anxiety, like, what if something's happening back home? What if this? What if, and you go through like it is anxiety and almost like a withdrawal from that, because you perceive that you need this to survive. But then for me and other people at these retreats, the longer that we're away from it, the better we start to feel relaxed. And now we can lean in. Now we can be in the moment. Now we can be fully present with whatever we're doing without being sidetracked by all this distraction that's going to pull us away from the moment and the mindfulness and doing the work on ourselves. And so I would highly suggest to anyone who is feeling those types of ways, whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear, whether it's any type of negative things, or they need that dopamine hit, like to take a break from it, put it away for an hour, see how you feel, put it away for 2 hours, see if it make you feel better, go a weekend without it and see if you start to feel less depressed, less fearful, less anxious, and be positive over it yourself. You don't need to come to a rehab to take it away in order to do this. You can do this on your own.
I think, yeah, like receiving, a like or a notification from your cell phone is like getting like a little hit of drugs. We've heard a lot of people talk about this, but they actually have, connected people's brains, to and have done certain studies to verify that, yeah, just getting a notification or a text even, a like on a post can really engage your brain in that same kind of addictive mindset, or those addictive chemicals get released. It hijacks your reward system, they say. So you're not anticipating or experiencing just the natural rewards of life as well, because you're so hyper stimulated all the time. And another cool little thing I wanted to mention really quick was, yeah, there's a major, like you were saying, a major mental health link here. So a study by Common Sense Media, found that teens who spent more than 3 hours a day on social media have 60% higher risk of reporting poor mental health. That's insane, right?
That's a really high statistic. And I'm not surprised at all. I mean, you just go out, like say concerts. It used to be we go to a concert and we watch a concert. Now you're watching everybody's phones watch the concert so they can get their pics or their Instagram or their whatever. Like it feeds into all that then when they don't have that, they start to feel some negative consequences from that, and depression and anxiety. And if they post something and they don't get an immediate like or response, like you were saying, now all of a sudden I feel bad about myself. Now all of a sudden I feel like I'm not good enough or worthy because I thought that was meaningful. Nobody liked it. So there's so much that you set yourself up for with mental health and social media and your phones. And it's awful. I mean, I'm so grateful I grew up in an era where that was not the case. And I really feel empathetic for the generation where it's been part of their lives their whole lives. Like they really have to learn, almost retrain and special therapy for this specific subject.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that's occurred here in society. It's interesting to see how the kids are responding, or sad to see, I should say.
Yeah.
There's so many, we just think social media, our brain, dopamine, but there's more to that, right? That with the, scrolling on social media, there is, sleep problems that occur from this habit. Uh, so, yeah, we think social media is bad, we shouldn't scroll a lot, dopamine, but then there's other things that are playing into making this also bad. For one, we've heard a lot of people talk about it, like the blue light, right? Getting
Mhm.
too much blue light is not good for you. But it's actually really not good for you. Getting too much blue light, stops the production of melatonin. Uh,
Mhm.
so this really messes up our sleep patterns. So it prevents us from getting deep sleep and that restorative sleep that helps us get the neurological repair that we need each night. And so if you're constantly looking at this blue light, it's telling your brain stay awake. And what a lot of people spend time on social media in the evenings, right? And so then
Mhm.
that's basically telling our brain like, no, you're awake, you're awake, you're awake. Um, and then anhedonia, I believe is the how to pronounce it. So like I was saying a moment ago, with just being hyperstimulated all the time, this can really cause us to, the lack of feeling pleasure from just normal things like a
Mhm.
sunset or a good conversation, because our brain is so, like everything doesn't seem like enough. Real life doesn't seem like enough. So we get in this very flat state of mind.
Mhm.
And I think we see that a lot with, with teens and, people that have been exposed to social media. It's almost like a joke that a teenager just doesn't get excited about anything, right? But,
Mhm.
there could be, yeah, some of this playing into that. Absolutely. And then, like you were saying, another adverse, kind of a side effect that you don't necessarily think directly, but yeah, that comparison trap, and how, that just comparing yourself to others all the time just creates anxiety, and makes you feel inadequate. Everyone's always trying to one up each other. Social media platforms are known for, yeah, you're showing your highlights, like the best things in your life. And then sometimes maybe you had a normal day, like just a normal day. And then you see that, your friend from high school is like, visiting this place in Spain and doing all these crazy things. And that can, cause you to kind of feel less than maybe. And so all these different side effects that come from social media, besides just this big release of dopamine, which, is, very important to talk about as well.
Yeah, I would almost say the pandemic escalated this so much because everybody was in their places. And this is how a lot of people stayed connected to everybody else in the real world. And so going through that for a few years, trying to reacclimate to real life and real life people and have conversations with people, it's almost like you have to retrain everybody how to function in life without that as always being the go-to. I mean, I even think about, I've talked to a lot of people who, especially we're talking about teens and the younger generation, like they don't know how to talk to each other face to face. They're dating apps like, oh, I'm going to like this girl from across the room, but I'm not actually going to talk to her, but I'm going to swipe right. So we're almost utilizing it as a crutch to safely be next to people without actually being next to people. And I think that we're going to see ramifications of that for a long time to go as well, because it kind of killed that connection that we used to get by going up and talking to somebody, calling a friend, texting with people. Somehow the social media, liking and posting pictures and that sort of stuff sort of overcame a lot of those basic social skills that we used to have.
One of the things you mentioned, I think they call it, yeah, phone snubbing. When yeah, let's say you're in a semi-awkward social setting and you just pull out your phone and you just hide behind like, oh, I'm just looking at my phone, right? Just as like
Mm.
an avoidance tactic. Like, no, you don't need to interact or do this or that. It's like become this like norm that, anytime somebody's a little bit uncomfortable, they can just pull out their phone and just use that as a like, leave me alone, don't talk to me.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, this is more important than you. It says a lot of things. And yeah, it's definitely hurting our relationships.
yeah.
People make less eye contact, right? They're so focused on, yeah, looking down and looking at their phone. They kind of lose their self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like we talked about with, as well as self-confidence, when you start relying on those likes and I put my heartfelt into this picture and nobody liked it, it starts to chip away. I mean, you could have posted at midnight, nobody even saw it and it got lost in an algorithm, but your brain doesn't tell you all that logically. It just says, nobody likes you. Look at you, put yourself out there. You couldn't even get a like. Like it starts to feed the insecurities and the low self-confidence, low self-esteem, and starts to beat people down mentally and emotionally and spiritually because now they're relying on that for validation of who they are and what they do.
Yeah, a lot of our identities get so wrapped up in, or can get wrapped up in, yeah, how many followers you have,
Yeah.
yeah, how many likes do you get on a post?
Mm-hmm.
There's all these different ways we can compare ourselves to others. Where there's this game that everyone seems to be playing, that you don't have to play. You don't have to play this game of who has the most followers and who has the most likes and, oh, I need to share all my highlights. It's more about experiencing them, right? Like having the experiences. Like we talked about it, you and I have been to a lot of concerts. And
Mm-hmm.
now it just seems like no one's even there. They're just, filming it. And I get caught up in it too, because I'm like, wow, this is such a great moment to film. Like I have to film it. But it's like you're kind of sacrificing like the moment too, because you're not experiencing it. You're focused on filming.
Oh yeah, and you're trying to see the band, and all you see is
Oh,
phones. Like I can't even see
yeah.
the band because I'm trying to navigate through all the phones. So then I'm watching the band through the phone, and I'm there, and it's not even my phone.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
Yeah.
So I think, there's going to be, we just listed a few things, a few negative side effects, and unfortunately, I feel like we're just, yeah, scratching the surface of like how this is going to evolve with society. But um, yeah, bringing awareness to the topic is great. And yeah, if you're anyone struggling with addiction, yeah, really take a look at how your phone could be just making you feel emotionally horrible. From the scrolling, the shopping, just being on it too much. And so, yeah, like at Elevate, yeah, we start to bring mindfulness to the subject of how addicting phones can be. And like we said, during detox, we don't have phones. But yeah, it plays into addiction. It really does. Like having this phone, having something constantly pulling your attention, constantly taking you out of the present, essentially. And so yeah, it's a great subject for anyone struggling with addiction, and a thing to lean into, giving yourself like a brain reset, or a rest from all this, removing the noises of the digital world, and yeah, really start to focus on like what thoughts are actually there. What sort of things can I work through, or what sort of things should I be talking about?
I would like to, since we talked about all the negative side effects, maybe just some tips on, if you're not in rehab, and what you can do to sort of start distancing yourself from that naturally. And one thing that I do that I think is really beneficial is I put my phone on D&D, so do not disturb, and I have it automatically set from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Now, that doesn't mean I can't get on my phone and check and see what's going on, but my brain isn't constantly being barraged with notifications, likes, emails, whatever it is, is in your phone, but you're not constantly being hit with it. And so then it gives your body and your brain at least those hours where you're not being hit with notifications and that stuff. So you can start to like calm down, you can detach, you can sleep better. I know a lot of people will put their phone in the other room just so they don't even have the temptation to pick up their phone and be, aware of what's going on. So there's different things that you can do to be positive over this without having to go to rehab.
Yeah, and there's been some apps, ironically, that can help you with the amount of time that you spend on social media. I think there's even apps these days that after a certain amount of scrolling, like it cuts you off. It'll
Oh,
lock
wow.
your phone. And so people are starting to get, some improvements by having, yeah, like, because you can get lost, like looking at your phone, like the time, it's almost like you're in a time warp sometimes.
Yeah.
So having, something cut you off, can really start to help add awareness, like, oh, wow, that was already 30 minutes. Wow. Okay. Um,
Oh,
you know,
that's a good tip. Yeah.
yeah, so that's there's several apps. I believe some are free, some are you have to pay for, but and something that I do, I there's a setting, you could look it up, with your phone. You can turn it red at night,
Mm.
which can greatly help with some of those negative effects that you could get from the blue light in the evening. So I have mine set to triple click, and then now my phone's like very red. So there's like a setting you can do. You triple click the side, and it changes the brightness. So as far as the blue light goes. But just like anything, I think is and I hate kind of bringing it back to this because I feel like so many things have a similar answer, but balance. Trying to have balance in your life, and so having a good routine. Not having days where you could be tempted to look at your phone. Like, no, you make it an effort to get outside. Go exercise. Maybe focus on the meals that you're going to have, meal prepping, and then yeah, being aware, like picking up a book and reading it. Like it's that could be a great way to kind of break the constant dopamine. Like, okay, I'm just going to slow things down and try to read.
Yeah. Or kind of like what we do at Elevate, we put in CrossFit as an answer to addiction. And when I quit smoking, I was craving that. So I had to put something else in place of it while I got over the addiction to it. So like when I was smoking, I started eating sunflower seeds and I would play like a game of solitaire on my phone until that feeling passed of needing to go smoke a cigarette. And I'd have to do it at points where after a meal, that was always my go-to. And so it's like, okay, after the meal, don't go do that. Now let me do this other thing, a substitution of that, until until I switch that habit or that routine where that wasn't my go-to. And it takes time. I mean, I think it's like 66 days it takes to change a habit or a routine. So you've got to stay consistent with it as well so that you can change this from being the go-to all the time into something that's more beneficial or more helpful. I like the idea of a walk. Like, I'm going to get on my phone. Actually, I'm going to go walk my dogs real quick and leave my phone and just be in the moment with them. So there's lots of little tricks and tips that you can do. Nobody expects anybody to go cold turkey, although, that's always an option as well. But you can do little things to sort of retrain your brain into that not being your constant go-to for every situation in your life.
Yeah, no, those are great tips. Yeah, and yeah, I would say probably the best thing would be carry around a book instead, personally. I've had breaks from using my phone, and that was the number one thing to help me. And it's very similar to what you said with the quitting smoking, right? You have something else you can do in its place that's, a lesser of evils, but also can, help get you through the uncomfortability of changing your habits.
All right, Tom, I think we covered a lot of ground here, and I hope this is beneficial to not just people in recovery or people overcoming addiction or people who are struggling with addiction. It's really important for anybody who's suffering from mental conditions or different things in their life, or they might feel depressed or anxious or any of the other things. This is something you can do. And you can do it immediately to start feeling better about yourself, life, and be more engaged.